Hey guys, it's Kirky1000 here, and today I'll be showing you how to play Making History: The Calm and the Storm. You can get this game on Steam for around $2. It's a great deal for the amount of gameplay you actually get. And today I'll be showing you some single player just to help you guys get a hang of the game before you do anything too big like online play or something like that. So, to start off, you're going to get into the game, and this is what you're going to see. This pretty much interface right here. I'm being Germany, so I only see what I have, and everything else is fog of war. So, anyway, starting off, we'll start left and go right. Top left hand of your screen here, you're going to see your date, your turn info, and your time of the year. That's pretty self-explanatory. Your turn info tells you how many turns you are into the specific campaign you've chosen for either single player or multiplayer. Right below that is the mini-map of the world. You can click and drag, or you can just click, jump around here. It's pretty much, basic mini-map, but there are functions for the mini-map in this game. There's what I call the combat or operational map, which is the basic one, which is where you move all of your troops and stuff. The second one is the world summary, which shows you which countries own what and where their capitals are. And you can also click on all the little stars for capitals. Next up is the diplomatic. This shows you alliances, and pretty much it color codes the alliances so you can find out what part of the worlds are with which alliance. So right now all the brown is the British alliance, and this weird awkward, I don't know what color that is the Baltic alliance, which is like Latvia and all those communist like break-off countries. This next one would be the ideology. This is showing which countries have which kind of political system. So blue is democratic, green is authoritarian, blackish gray would be fascist, and then red would be communist. Next is your trade tab. This shows you which countries are yours, which is blue, yellow, which is in normal trade, and then red, which would be embargoed, which obviously means you're not trading with that country. The next tab is your supply tab. This shows you which areas of the world you are currently sending arms to supply your troops. Right now, I have green in all the oceans, which is default, and then green in my country, which is default. And then if you're not allies with anyone, then you are gray. And if it is yellow, that means it is semi-supplied. So if you're an ally, then it would most likely be yellow, I think it is. I have to check in on that. And then red means that you're at a war with these people, so they are completely blocking everything you have. Or if you're in an isolated zone. So if I have Hungary, but Austria's cutting me off, that would probably be red. But we're going to want to go back to our combat map. This is where all of the fun stuff happens. Next up is all of these little tabs at the top here. This first one is called your transport tab. This one little number shows you how many divisions you can transport over the sea. And you can find out how many divisions are in a unit, or a group, I guess you could say, by clicking on that group, which I did here. This is the 5th Corps for Germany. It's split up into these different things right here, and this is how many divisions there are. There are 16 divisions, but I only have 5 transports, so I'd have to split this group up, and I'd only be able to transport 5 things over the ocean at once. And that is not a reusable number. That is one-time use, so once I had transport 5, that would be back down to 0. So to make more transports, you have to do it in your cities that are ports, your port cities, and I'll explain that a little bit later. Next up is your arms. On the left is how much you have in your stockpile. On the right is how much you're making or losing per turn. Right now I have 432 in my stockpile, and I am not gaining or losing any port per turn, which does change with wars. It's good to have a little bit of these on, like, I guess, layaway, you could say, or reserve, just in case you do get in a random war with someone. Then you have a little bit of space for some breathing room for arms. Next up is goods. Same thing, left, right, what you have, what you're making. Goods is the sole money maker for a country. So if you're doing not too great over here, right here in your financial report, if this top one, your balance, is red, that means you're losing how much that however much that amount is per turn, and if it's green, you're gaining that much. And then treasury is how much you have on reserve. You really want to keep that in the green, otherwise you people start getting upset and it takes longer to build things in cities. Next up is your food. Same concept. You got to keep it in supply so people are happy. And to make food is actually comes out of the actual individual regions of a country, and it is displayed right here. So this region right here is making 133 food per turn, which is labeled here. But I'm obviously losing some because there's the demand aspect of the supply and demand. Next up is steel, or metals. I call it steel because it looks like an I-beam. This is same thing with all the rest of these. It's what you have and what you're making. Steel is created in steel mills, which are their own little, they look like cities, or they're city tabs, I guess. They're these little ones right here with the little reddish orange piles. This is your metal foundry area, I guess. Over here to the right, it shows you how much you're producing and what is the possible production of this facility. Then there's production modifiers and other maintenance costs and such. Maximum is what you could be at, so if you would like to get more of this, you could always maximize your production, which would bring that up to that point, and then it would maintain it. Next is coal. These are created in the coal foundries or mines, coal mines. These are the opposite of the metals. They're little black piles, and same thing, same exact thing. But with the production modifiers, this has a big number because the transportation level in this region is higher, which you can find by clicking on the region and going down the transportation area. Now, if you want a higher multiplier, you can always upgrade your transportation level by clicking on this upgrade tab and hitting upgrade, but I don't want to do that right now. Next up, we have oil. Oil is used for building tanks or keeping like larger cities like going, I guess. Oil's really only used a lot in like vehicle productions and planes and stuff, but you do want to have a good supply of it just in case. You get oil from obviously the oil wells. Germany does not have really good oil wells, so I'm importing this from other countries through trade, which I'll show you in just a bit. Next up, we have our scoring and reports or turn summary tab. This shows you a basic overlay of what just happened in that turn. Down here is the national events, is what happened within Germany. It's all normally trade information and updates about what has happened with your world trade. Sometimes you get national events, but that only really involves like wars in other countries and stuff. This first one is the world information on alliance points, I guess. Right now, the it grades points based on amount of region, and there's a whole bunch of factors to it. Pretty much just PowerPoints. And British Alliance, it takes all of those countries, adds their points, and then it percents it, and that's how much of the world that alliance controls. Right now, I'm down here in 4th place with 450, but as soon as I start some wars and gain more land, that'll change. Next up is the production report or industrial report. This shows you a very large overlay of every single city you have under your control, and it also allows you to change what that city's producing at a really quick menu, so you don't have to go city to city. I find this really good because right now I'm making a basic battleship in Hamburg, but I don't really need that because I'm not in a war, so I can change that to goods and make some more money, which auto updates it up here. This is output. This is what you're creating per turn. This is your supply and demand chart, and then this is also your output, and it's another version of the output distribution. Next, we have a research tab. Now, this is where you can research new vehicles or units and such like that. We have our land forces with our infantry, our armored divisions, our mobile infantry, and our artillery. Now, the blue tabs is what you've already researched. White tabs is what you can research, and gray tabs are things that are locked because you maybe haven't met prerequisites or don't have the required things to build it. So in this case, I already have these two researched, and I could keep going with this. But I can't do advanced infantry because I need to have improved infantry completed before I start advanced infantry. There's also Air Force tabs, Naval tabs with all these things, and then Tactical. Tactical is, I guess, techniques in the battle. They just make your modifiers a little bit better so you have a better chance of winning a battle. In the Advanced tab of the research, this is where you can do more city-based things. You can convert coal to oil. The first one is really ineffective, and then you can keep going and it gets better. These are just other prerequisite researches for tanks and stuff. And this is my favorite tab, the nuclear weapons area. This is where you can research up to your fission bomb, which will end a war in one turn. And then this is also where you can upgrade or research rockets and stuff like V8s and ICBMs and stuff. Now, when you research things, it requires three things: money, research points, and IPUs. Money is obviously in your financial report right here. Research points is how many turns it takes to research this at full amount required met IPUs. And IPUs is how many. IPU means industrial production unit, by the way. IPUs is what your cities create. So you gotta assign your cities to create research. So this city is creating 16 IPUs per turn, and that 16 IPUs, when I click on this, is going toward research, but I don't research anything, so that'd be a waste of coal and this city's potential. So you need to allocate about 4 cities to get up to 60 IPUs to create that one thing, and then it would take 60 turns to research it. Then you'd be able to build it in the cities. Next we have on this front tab would be the World Trade tab. This is where you can trade resources to other countries through these trade buttons right here. This will take you to a trade window in the Trade Negotiations tab, and this is where you can do either buy from nation, which would be directly offering offering to buy a set amount from a nation, which is kind of risky because you don't know if they're going to accept or not. Sell to a nation, which is the opposite. It offers to sell a designated set amount to a nation. Request on market would put your offer up here, and then any nation could fulfill your offer, whether they could give you 50 and you could still have 120 left on the market, and then other countries could jump in, or no one wants to give you anything at all. And then offer on market is the same. You're just offering up this much, and then it doesn't go to any specific buyer. Request aid would be asking a country for supplies without giving them money for it, and offering aid is obviously the opposite. And you can do this for goods, food, metals, coal, and oil, all of the above. In the Imports and Exports tab, this shows you what you're currently trading with other countries, so you can go through here. Right now Germany's pretty active in the world market, but I like starting with a fresh game, so I go through and hit minus 100 on all of these and then hit update. But this is for oil, and we need to keep oil coming into Germany. And then this is aid deals. This shows you who you're giving stuff to completely free. Right now, for some reason, I'm giving 5 arms to China, but I don't want to do that, so you'd hit minus 100 or whatever amount you want, and then update aid flow, and it would update it. And that is the trade tab. Next is our financial tab. This shows us pretty much just an economical overview of our country. It's pretty self-explanatory. It just kind of shows you what's going on with money and how much you're making and how much you're having to give away. So it's really good if you're trying to balance out your economy. Our next tab is the military tab. This is pretty much just giving you overviews of all the military units you have. If you click on this first one, all it does is take you back to that first one, and it gives you the option to build new stuff. These ones just give you overviews of how much of each unit type you have in each category. That's pretty explanatory in its own. Our next tab is the diplomatic tab. This explains what kind of alliances or treaties you have going on with other countries, and it also can show what kind of just alliances other countries have with other countries. So if you click on the Alliances and Wars tab, you can go to the first tab, which is Alliances, and see which countries are with what other countries. You can also go to the Wars tab and see if any countries are with war with anyone. Right now, Nationalist Spain is at war with Republican Spain. Now, what you want to consider if you're gonna try to get into one of these wars is who would be in your favor, like politically. Right now, Nationalist Spain is fascist, and Germany is fascist. So politically, that would make more sense than helping out a democratic Spain. So if I were to join the war, I would be on Nationalist Spain's side. Next up, and then down here is just like if you want to do a quick, like USSR takes you here, and then you can do all your. It selects the country for you, and then you can propose any of these. That's just your diplomatic area. Next up is the, this isn't really anything, it just kind of shows you a little map of the military axis you have. Military axis allows you to move units through their land without starting a war. The next tab is the domestic tab. This first one is not a button, it just shows you an overview of your country. The second one is also not a button, it shows you an overview of your labor pool. So it shows what kind of skilled workers, unskilled, and military units you have for manpower units, which is MPUs. And then it shows you the supply amount of your food and goods to the person. And then this is another quick way to get to your research tab, which we already went through. And then this button, Grant Independence, would be if you have taken control of a country through a war and they surrendered, you can grant that country independence and have them join your alliance, but let them individually control their own economy. That's good if you don't want to control half the world, if you've conquered a lot of things and don't want to manage with all that economically. Our final tab is the economic tab, which is production. All of these are buttons except the last one, which is just a larger view of that first financial report, except you can't actually go into depth with it. That's right above it in this big button. This first one is a shortcut to that big city production table I showed you earlier. Second one is to the world trade one I showed you earlier, and then this third one is a new tab for you guys. I haven't showed this to you yet, but it is my favorite tab because this allows us to create more of these four resources: food, metals, coal, and oil. Mostly just food and metals and coal because Germany doesn't have any oil, but regardless, if you have a country that does have oil, this is how you would do it rather than going oil well to oil well, modifying that. Now let's say I didn't have that much food coming out right now. What you would do is you could click on the food, which would organize it by level, and then you want to upgrade the food level per region on the higher level foods, which gets you more food per turn. Now these do take a while, probably around 30 or like 30 to 60 turns depending on what level you're trying to get to, and you can also upgrade fortifications and transportation levels per region. Level 4 is the maximum, so once you get there you can't do anything more with it. This infrastructure tab also is where you can upgrade your individual resource producers. So what you want to look for is you want to look for a low output and a high max. So right now, for instance, this like Saxony right here is making 191, but it can make 318. So if we want to get up to that, we would just click here and go to maximize, which would expand it one little output per turn. And then this is just another quick one to the economic overview again. Down here is our save game menu area. This is where you do all your fun stuff. This is for you statistical people. This button down here, this shows you lists, charts, graphs, everything you want to know, numbers. This is for you really technical people out there if you want to know really in-depth stuff about countries. This is good if you're trying to gather intel, but I find it pretty much useless otherwise. It does, however, help you find out which countries you're like cool with. Like right now, Argentina likes me, Bulgaria likes me, Communist China hates me. So, but otherwise, I think this whole button is not that important. And then right here is a little small chart of nation powers by nation, not alliance. So right now United States has the most power points, but United Kingdom is the best in the world because it has an alliance with more people. And then if you're playing multiplayer, in this bottom area right here, you would see a little chat bar for in-game chat. Next up is moving your units and unit commands. Let's start off with a ground unit. First off, it shows your country flag, name of the unit, and where the unit is currently stationed by region. This one on the left is combat power. This shows you how much power this unit has in a battle. So if you're a 240, which is right here, against maybe like if I was invading Austria, this is a 50. So this 240 would beat this 50 because it has a higher combat power. So the more units you have in that, the more divisions you have in there, the higher the combat power, the more battles you win. Down here is a list of currently running group orders for the group. That only you really use if you already have an order. And then this is a list of the divisions you have. So right now there's 9 infantry divisions, a light tank division, 3 mounted infantry, 1 field artillery, and 2 light artillery. Now let's say I didn't want to send all of these down to Austria to declare war, so I could hit split and then choose the ones that I want in its own group. So we could just do this. You split group, and then as you see over here, it split the group in half. So we can send these guys down here by right clicking. So once you've left clicked on something, you right click on the region you want to go to, and the game will do its own little route. But if the route's really impractical, you can hit the little X right here and then set your own route. So we could go like that, but that's really impractical because it takes 3 turns. So it would be best to go this way because it takes 1 turn. We could also go through here. I mean, it's all relative. And then down at the bottom here, you can rename your groups, you can split them again, you can merge them if there's 2 groups in one area. I could remerge these 2, so you click on it, hit merge group, now they're one group. You can also disband it, which deletes them, but there's no case you would ever really need that. So we can just X out of there. Planes, same kind of concept, but they have a whole bunch of other commands, so you can right click within a region, it just kind of moves it around. There's no point in that, more for visually seeing what's in that region. Other options you have is you could rebase, which bases them in that country or region, or you can move them. I think rebasing gives you a higher modifier for defense when you're patrolling the region. Yeah, you have to be based in a region to be able to patrol it. So we'll move him over there real quick by ending our turn with that big button. And when it's based in a region, you can patrol the region so that fighters or bombers can't bomb your cities. So you can only do that with fighters, though. Bombers aren't how that do. So if you want to patrol a region with a bomber, you right click the region, hit patrol, and it'll just do that little symbol, which means it's patrolling. So we can end our turn again, and now this region is safer against bombing runs, which isn't practical because I'm not at war with anyone, so no one would be bombing me. So to cancel his order, you just have to hit X. C units are a little more difficult because they can be hidden in ports, and you can tell that by the little glow around a lighthouse in a port city. And to get them out, you're going to want to click on your port city, and then see this little arrow. This will deploy them into the nearest ocean, which would be right here. So it doesn't do it automatically. You have to hit end turn and they'd come out. But conveniently, I already have a little ship group located in this ocean. They have the same kind of concept as land with combat power and then all this. Some ships, the bigger ones like battleships, they take more than 1 hit to kill. So if he gets in a battle, you could get them out of that battle, and then he could have 50% health. And to repair him, you'd need to right click on a port city, hit enter port, end your turn, and remember he's just sent him out, so that's where he's from. Go in, then you would click on here, and then you could do repair. Actually, you wouldn't do it through here. The best way to do it was once he's in the port, you'd go to change your order. You'd probably go to naval, and then it should be at the very end below transport capacity. And then when you're in a city, this is how you create units which spawn in the region, and this is what they require. This is the manpower unit, which is right here. It requires, and then this is how many turns it takes. You can figure out how many turns it takes based on IPUs, because it takes 50 IPUs to total, and this city only has 16, so it takes 4 turns at 16 IPUs, so it builds it up progressively to make that, and that's all relative as well. Same thing with air forces and naval forces. If you want to upgrade the IPU output capacity to get this number higher, what you do is you go to change order, industrial production, and then heavy industry. This actually spends these up here, and then as soon as it clicks out the 3 turns, this moves up 1, and then it updates it. So you might want to do that with the little lower, smaller cities like these ones, the pre-industrial ones, to get it up to a higher level. And certain cities can only do certain things, so this pre-industrial city might not be able to make heavy bombers opposed to an industrial city maybe being able to make heavy bombers, and then this advanced city would be able to make like super heavy bombers, but the other one can't because this has more technology and factories in the city. I think that's about it for this one. There's not really many other things to cover. The rest of it's pretty much like any other turn-based strategy game. To declare war, you can either just march into that country, or you can actually right-click in that region, select the nation, and then declare war there. Um, Otherwise, I think that's about all that there needs to be said about the game. If there's any questions, comment or send me a message. And subscribe and like if you enjoyed or learned something. And this is once again Kirky 1000 with Making History, The Calm in the Storm.